It always started at 3 p.m. every single day. That quiet moment after lunch when time felt like it slowed down, when the sunlight through the blinds made everything feel still, tired, almost gentle. That's when he would make his decision. At 3 p.m., James would open his phone, scroll for a few minutes, maybe check an old YouTube video he'd saved for motivation. Then the thoughts would start. You've worked hard enough. You'll start strong tomorrow. Just rest. It's good for your mental health. By 3:10 p.m., he was on the couch. By 3:20, snacking. By 3:40, asleep, TV still playing in the background. And every night around 10 p.m., the guilt would flood in like a storm. A deep, aching guilt that wrapped around his chest and whispered, "You wasted it again. You could have done more. You're falling behind." But guilt is a funny thing. You'd think it would make you move. But for James, it just made the cycle worse. He wasn't always like this. Once he had ambition. He wanted to start his own media company. Had a whole vision board, a camera, even a decent little setup in his room. He watched creators building empires on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. He believed he could do it too. But somewhere between "I'll start next week" and "I'm not ready yet," that fire began to flicker. His room, once filled with notebooks and ideas, slowly turned into a cave of clutter. Dust settled on his mic. His calendar stopped being filled with content plans and turned into overdue bills, dentist appointments, and food delivery coupons. James wasn't lazy. That's the part nobody saw. He wanted to change, but every time he tried, he'd overplan, overthink, and burn out in 2 days. He followed productivity gurus and dopamine detox guides. He bought fancy apps, subscribed to online courses, even journaled about future James. But future James never showed up. Only 3 p.m. James, tired James, the one who just wanted one more scroll, one more nap, one more restart. Tomorrow. He started lying to friends, told them he was working on a project, told his mom he was waiting for the right time, told himself this was just a season of rest. But the truth was darker. James was hiding from his fear of failing, from the pressure of comparing himself to people his age doing better, from the voice in his head that whispered, "You're already too late." And the world, it didn't wait for him. Friends got jobs, bought houses, got married. His feed turned into a highlight reel of success, while his days blurred together into silence. James was stuck in a war nobody saw, not between good and evil, but between who he was and who he could be. And every day, that war began again. At 3 p.m., the moment that changed everything didn't come with lightning. No big speech, no movie soundtrack. It was a voice message, less than 20 seconds long. James had just flopped onto the couch, 3:11 p.m., a plate of nachos, YouTube autoplay running. Then his phone buzzed. It was from his younger sister, Lily, the one who used to look up to him. He pressed play. "Hey, I know you're busy, but Mom's meds are getting expensive. I don't want to pressure you, but if there's any way you can help even a little." Her voice cracked. "We're trying our best." Silence. James just stared at the wall. Something in him broke. The comfort, the numbness, the endless tomorrows. Because in that moment, his not doing enough wasn't just his burden anymore. It was hurting people he loved. That night, James couldn't sleep. He kept replaying her voice, kept seeing his mom's hands, worn from years of factory work, and realizing she never had the luxury of 3 p.m. naps. Guilt flooded in again. But this time it didn't paralyze him. It lit a fire, not a big one, not enough to turn his life around overnight, but just enough to stand up. The next morning, James did something strange. He made his bed, brushed his teeth before 9 a.m., opened his old notebook, the one with video ideas from 2 years ago. He didn't post, didn't record, didn't even open the camera. But he sat, and he wrote for 20 minutes. The next day, he wrote again, then brainstormed a new series idea. And on the third day, he got hit with doubt. What's the point? This won't work. You're still behind everyone else. But instead of escaping, he went for a walk. That's how it started. Not a transformation, but a resistance. A decision to sit through discomfort instead of running from it. A choice to act, not react. And every day around 3 p.m., the old temptations returned. The couch, the snacks, the scroll. But James had a weapon now, awareness, and slowly things began to change. He gave himself limits, scheduled rest, did one hard thing a day. Some days he failed, slept in, broke his rules. But unlike before, he didn't let failure define him. He just returned. Because James had learned something most people never do. Discipline isn't about never falling. It's about rising faster every time you do. Weeks passed. He posted his first video, unpolished, awkward, but real. Only 87 views. But one comment stood out. This felt like someone finally said what I needed to hear. He screenshotted it, taped it to his wall, right above his desk, right where he could see it at 3 p.m. 1 year later, James sat in the same room, same desk, same blinds, same 3 p.m. light coming through the window. But he was different. The mic wasn't dusty anymore. The wall behind him had a vision board again, this time filled with finished ideas. He had a routine. Not perfect, but steady. And for the first time in years, he felt proud. Not because he made it. Not because he had millions of followers or some big breakthrough, but because he stayed. Through the slow days, the quiet progress, the setbacks nobody saw, the tiny wins nobody clapped for. He stayed, and that changed everything. James didn't just rebuild his career, he rebuilt himself, piece by piece, habit by habit. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. That's the thing no one tells you about change. It's not loud, it's not viral, it's not a New Year's resolution. It's a decision made quietly, again and again, at 3 p.m., at 7 a.m., at midnight, whenever the old you whispers, just rest, just one more day. And the new you says, not this time. James still rests, still scrolls, still has bad days, but now he controls them. They don't control him. Because one day, he realized procrastination wasn't laziness, it was fear, disguised as comfort. And the only way out was through. So if you're sitting there right now, phone in hand, telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow, remember this. The decision that will change your life won't feel like magic. It'll feel like discomfort, like work, like resistance, but it'll also feel like freedom.
If this story lit even a tiny spark in you, type, I won't lose another 3 p.m. in the comments. And if you're ready to keep going, what's on your screen right now, that's your next step. See you there.